Hello and welcome to another episode of 3 Minute Game Pass. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to tell you if this Game Pass game is worth your time and bandwidth. Today's game is Dante's Inferno. What if God of War were Christian and about going into hell as an Italian poet, who is now a murder crusader wielding Death's Scythe? Well, now that I said that out loud, I can't actually decide if it's incredibly stupid or incredibly awesome, so let's find out. Dante's Inferno is an Xbox 360 game ported to the Xbox. It is only available on EA Play, so for this one you have to have Xbox Ultimate since it is an Xbox only game, and the game lasts about 6 to 8 hours. So what exactly is Dante's Inferno? Well, it's a 3D action platformer very much in the style of God of War, to the point where it basically is copying God of War's homework. You play as Dante, not the poet and not the one featured in Devil May Cry, but an edgy crusader Dante who sews crosses to his chest for some reason. After being killed in the crusade, you literally beat up Death and take his scythe and kill him with it, only to come home to find your girlfriend, who can't keep her shirt on throughout this game, has been stolen away to hell to be Satan's new girlfriend or something. Since Dante isn't about to get cucked by Satan, you have to fight your way through the 8 circles of hell, killing demons and trying to figure out how it all went to, well, hell. Combat, again, is God of War. You have a heavy attack, you have a light attack, you have finishers, and a tweak, a little bonus, you have a ranged weapon, the cross. Once you knock enemies down in health, you can perform an execution, and you can execute them in 1 or 2 styles, redeem them or punish them. This is also something you can do with various characters you find around hell. Punishing them gives you evil points, which levels up the scythe, opening abilities to unlock, and redeeming them lets you play cross DDR before doing the same for a good path that powers up your ranged cross. Aside from that, there's not really much I can say besides it's identical to God of War, just with a lot more climbing and a Christian hell aesthetic. So what do I like about Dante's Inferno? Well, the good-evil skill trees are actually a pretty cool and interesting idea. Since you can't max both in one playthrough, you kind of have to decide as you're going through the game which way you're going to decide to build your character and then play the game accordingly. It unfortunately doesn't affect the ending at all, which I guess is a bit of a negative, but it is a nice way to spice up these games that usually have pretty bland upgrade systems. The early environments, basically the first 4-ish circles, are absolutely fantastic. This is made by the guys that made Dead Space. They know how to make games look good and have great art direction and visual flair. It definitely shows during these early portions of the game. And lastly, I found the combat to be serviceable. If you like God of War, you'll like this, because it's basically the same thing. When it comes to the bad, continuing that thread of combat, it gets pretty bland and mashy during the latter half. It doesn't really do much more with it besides what you kind of get at the beginning. And it recycles a lot of the same enemies too, which just doesn't spice up the combat whatsoever. Similarly, it loses pretty much all interesting ideas by the 1/3 mark. 1 circle at the end is actually just boring combat arenas besides anything else. And there's just so much platforming to get through these boring circles that have instant death falls and stuff like that. It really drags. And lastly, the story is stupidly overly edgy and all its cringe. It's an early 2010 game, and God, does it feel like it. There's the overemphasis on tits everywhere, there's Dante's edgelord dialogue, and basically Beatrice is topless for 90% of the game. The whole thing is just, it's cringe. As you know, our games here on a 3-point scale: must play, maybe consider, don't bother. I think Dante's Inferno is a maybe consider, mostly because I feel like we don't have a lot of these types of action games on Game Pass at the moment. If I'm being honest, the game definitely loses a lot of what makes it interesting and fun after the first couple of hours. Essentially, the first areas of hell are really cool and interesting, and the combat's still fresh, but as you get further into the game, the whole thing just kind of wears on you. I'd suggest playing it until you get bored and then stop playing it. If you're in the mood for a visceral, fast-paced action game and can overlook a lot of flaws, you can still have a lot of fun with Dante's Inferno. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and go out there and enjoy Dante's Inferno.